the Emirates Arena, Tollcross International Swimming Centre, the Scottish Events Campus and Scotstoun Stadium. The body of Alex Salmond, Scotland's former First Minister, has arrived back in Scotland on a plane which landed at Aberdeen Airport on Friday the 8th of October, just before 2 p.m. His coffin was greeted by members of his family, New Alba Party leader Kenny MacAskill and a lone piper. A private family service is to be held on a date that has not been confirmed yet, and a public memorial will follow at a later date. Millions of people are set to be handed smartwatches to track their health as part of Labour's 10-year plan to save the NHS. Wearable tech, including devices track blood pressure, glucose spikes, and how cancer patients are responding to treatment, will be issued across the country to help prevent illnesses and treat more people at home. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said if we want to save the things we love about the NHS, we have to change it. He also said we will rebuild the health service around what patients tell us they need. And now for African news. Mozambique has been rocked by the murder of two prominent opposition figures. New opposition party Podemos lawyer Alvino Dias, who was also an advisor to its presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane, died alongside party official Paulo Gambi. They were gunned down late at night on Friday the 8th of October by attackers chasing the car they were travelling in. Their deaths come as the country waits for the results of the contested 9th of October elections. And that's the latest from Jambo Newsroom. I'm Andrew Biney.
Need security? Call Alpha One Plus Limited, a strategic security resourcing platform that connects you with licensed security personnel. We cater for our clients' security needs, from manned guarding, door supervision, event security, all the way up to close personal protection. Alpha One Plus Limited, your one-stop security solution. Call now at 44-074-2526-7909 or send us an email on info@alphaoneplus.com.
Across the World Wide Web on your mobile device and social media platforms, this is Jambo Radio, www.jamboradio.co.uk. We're multilingual, we're conversational, in the languages you best understand. We are Jambo Radio, inspiring transformation.
Very good morning to you and welcome to this edition of Enterprising Scotland, our weekly show focused on steering conversations around funding and financing ethnic minority-owned businesses and initiatives in Scotland. I'm George Tarr. Now, Fantaka Diaspora is a women-led organization for BAME communities, that's Black, Asian, minority ethnic communities in Scotland, addressing violence against women gender, and of course creating safe spaces for women and girls, uplifting and fostering resilience, having a launch event to empower girls of African descent in Edinburgh on Saturday the 8th of November. They are organizing an event which is funded by the National Lottery Community Fund, and the event is themed Monday Voices. We'll hear more about that. I'm now joined by Miriam Jobate, who is the founder of Fantaka Diaspora, and Zainab Kamara, the youth leader of Fantaka Diaspora. Welcome to you both.
Thank you very much, George.
It's good to see you in the studio.
Same here.
This is not your first time at Jambo Radio, but it's your first time in the studio.
Yes.
Okay, this is not your first time on Jambo Radio. That's good. Okay, so let's start with the foundation of Fantaka Diaspora. What inspired the foundation, and how did you identify the need for this wonderful organization?
Thank you very much. So, like I said, my name is Mariam Jobate. I am originally from Gambia.
Okay.
So I'm a Mandinka, from Mandinka tribe. So Fantaka in itself means self-protection. So I have had a lived experience of violence against women, and I have lived in the UK for decades now. I have seen how issues around sexual and reproductive health affected me as a young person, but continues to affect young people until today.
Right.
And there is a huge gap around support in this area that is directed at people of African descent. So it's like somebody has to come out to, address these issues.
Yeah.
So when I did my master's in sexual and reproductive health, I went back to the Gambia, where I did research on how young people and older people can come together to be able to talk about difficult issues around sexual health, because the taboo, people hardly talk about it.
Of course, yes.
So it's like, how do we come together and ensure this happens? To start off with, I started an organization called Fantanka Gambia.
Yeah.
And that started in Gambia, and because I was in Gambia for 5 years, and then I came back, I'm like, it is doing well there. Why do I not do the same initiative here? And that is what inspired it.
And is that because you found out that the same issues that are that you were affected by are affecting people in the Gambia? So you started the Fantaka journey from there, and when you returned back, you saw that it was also happening here.
Yeah. So when I was when I went to the Gambia, when I was doing my research, actually, I interviewed people in the UK, people in the Gambia as well. So what happened in the Gambia was some kind of mirroring issues, and if it is working well in the Gambia, it's the same approach that needs to be done in the UK as well. So I decided, yes, it is okay. It's good to start this organization that is going to address issues around the Black, Asian minority ethnic groups. But my other question was, this is a large group. Having to consolidate everybody under one umbrella, that in itself is problematic. So how do we make sure that this is addressing or targeting people of African descent? So that is why, at Fantanka Diaspora, especially when with these youth initiatives, we are focusing on people of African descent, because, who is BAME?
Yeah, exactly. Who is BAME? Yeah. A good question. And that's something that we'll touch on a little bit later. I think I'm quite fascinated by this nature of work, because I think it kind of touched on familiar territories, because you're also kind of a big campaigner on FGM, which is female genital mutilation. Is that what is driving your motivation to be able to engage women and young girls in understanding these things? So talk about that a bit. Yes.
So it's a big motivation, and like I said, I have a lived experience of sexual and gender-based violence, and I am a survivor of FGM. I have experienced domestic violence as a migrant in the UK. So I have first-hand experience how women are affected in the UK, but we don't have voices. A lot of women are going through, domestic abuse, intimate partner abuse, intimate partner violence. People are going through sexual violence, but they are unable to speak about it. Who would help them to speak about it? And women hardly want to access mainstream services because of different issues, including cultural issues, the taboos around, talking about sexual health, the embarrassment they feel like they will get, or, going against your own. If you, go out to complain about issues that you go through, you are termed as somebody who wants to put your husband, for example, in trouble, who is normally the abuser. You are accused of going out to talk about, issues that are supposed to stay in the homes. So you're defying the norms. So this in itself is a problem.
Yeah, and your organization also focus on creating safe spaces for women and girls. Is that the focus to kind of create those safe spaces, because people perhaps here in Scotland, they cannot have that conversation without those cultural differences that you just touched on. So these safe spaces, so Fantanka is creating those safe spaces where these issues can be discussed. Are they just conversations, or what sort of actions do you take to make the change?
So safe spaces are beyond conversations. Conversations happen, and people come and talk about issues, but also safe spaces in a way that you connect with others. You have identities that you have similarities in. These are spaces where you see somebody who has similar qualities, similar identities, and you feel comfortable and relaxed to share ideas, but also because you have certain experiences, you are able to find solutions together. So, it makes people more relaxed. It makes people want to, be part of that group. We have safe spaces for women. We have safe spaces for girls as well. So we identify, girls and women because we feel like, they are seen as minorities. They are seen as people, who do not have voices, or people who need more support. But we are working with women who are resilient. It just needs a little push to help them realize their goals, realize that they can do better than, they are, described.
Yeah.
So
wonderful. Yeah. You also promote, positive masculinity. That it's quite important for me to mention that. But it's how does that work in terms of why is a negative masculinity, and how does that look like?
So a negative masculinity, toxic masculinity.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Toxic, yeah.
We you would know how our communities. There are unspoken truths that we need to bring out. We cannot be comfortable or shy away from talking about issues that happen within amongst us. Yeah. We have seen how wives are beaten, wife battering. It happens here. Talking to your kids in a negative way, talking to your wife in a
derogatory way. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And you're expecting that is what wives should be treated as. But how are you? Reflecting on yourself around, you are the head of the family, which can be described as that. And, if you reflect on yourself around the negative things you bring in, shouting, screaming, slapping, because you want to show that you are the man, because that is what gender, is all about.
Yeah.
Gender is saying that men, you have to be screaming all over the place to exert your masculinity. Men has to be kicking to show that, yes, I am strong. You don't cry in front of your wife or other people because you want to show, that you are a lion, you roar and all that. So how do we get all that, combined and, show an empathetic part of you? How do you, we help you to realize that when you talk to your wife and, talk to them lovingly, nicely, or even your girlfriend, what are you teaching your daughter? When you speak to your wife nicely, you are saying to your daughter, this is how a man should be treating you. But if you are there kicking and pushing and doing everything, what are you teaching both your son and your daughter? This is what is acceptable, so the cycle continues. So we're trying to break the silence of violence, saying to men that you have an equal stake. You are supposed to be supportive and showing people love instead of toxicity.
Toxicity or
toxicity,
was that or abusive attitude or actions or what so how do you promote this concept within the community?
So we have meetings with men. I particularly have one-to-ones with men where, we highlight to them their strengths, as the black African,
as a black man.
Yes, a black man. You have
African,
this, you have these trends. You are cool.
Why is it they need to have money or what?
No, it doesn't have to be money because we have seen contexts where you don't need money to be nice.
To be nice, okay.
Do you understand? You don't have to take your woman or your family on holidays to be nice. People are living on zero income, but they are showing that that empathy.
The empathy, compassion.
The compassion, So we want to speak to the people like George and say to George, you know what? Can you help your fellow men to understand that when people come together, when women come together, we want to be safe. We want to speak to you in a positive light. How do we do that? To do that, we need you and other people to and your fellow men to be able to address issues that you are putting us through, and you know it because you sit down and speak about issues.
That's right. Yeah, of course, we'll relate with that. Do you think that because you say that, I mean, someone could be listening and say, "Oh, is that happening here?" Like we are in a completely different cultural territory. So, would you say that's prevalent within the Black community?
It is prevalent within the Black community, and like I said, it's an unspoken truth. These are things that happens, but we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to be seen as the other people who are trying to, report their own. And if we don't talk about it, we're not supporting women within the Black communities. Because when something happens, you even want to call social service for support, not even to put your man in trouble. You're thinking that if I call them, I am going to put them, behind bars, and that in itself is a huge scandal.
A taboo as well.
It's a big taboo. Yeah. But why do we have to protect that man who is abusive towards us? And what is there to protect? They're hitting us. Yeah. They are embarrassing us. They are abusing us verbally, sexually, physically. What is there to protect? Yes, these are things that have come, to us, it's an intergenerational trauma that, stemmed from years ago, but it needs to be spoken about so that we can get the help needed for both men and women, but we cannot be silent about it. That is my position about it.
Yeah, I see that's a big move as well. How do you experience that with the previous generation? I mean, we've got parents, mothers, grandmothers that would have come, basically grown through that way of thinking that it was okay for a man to be abusive, or perhaps I'll be in a kind of toxic relationship because they think that marriage was for better or worse.
Yeah. So that in itself, for better, for worse. And marriage is also seen as reproduction instead of enjoyment. Right? Yeah. So that better for worse, how is that translated? How do we work with religious leaders, for example, to dissect that better for worse, to understand that the worst is when natural things happen, when you broke, when you are sick, in sickness and in health, right? And for better, like how do we cuddle each other? How do we send each other positive vibes? For worse does not mean that you are going to exert your force on me. Something that you have control over, that is not worse for me.
Okay.
Right. So cultural issues have impacted these a lot, and because these are the translations. I keep on saying that men a lot of the times would be the ones who read the religion, but they will translate it in a way that they want women to understand, not that it is prescribed. So it is all about control and abuse. So if you are translating it that the Bible or the Quran is saying for better, for worse, for worse, if I beat you, that is worse. No. I don't. Religion is beautiful. It is not going to teach violence. I don't see any religion teaching violence.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So and then we have gender issues where women are also encouraged or made to think that pleasing a man is everything, instead of how do we work together to get a peaceful home here. Yes, we can please each other, we have to please each other, but that is not supposed to be a negative way.
But and also I think I will just ask you this follow-up question on this. Is that not coming from a place where the kind of the cultures that we've grown up in, and I'm just thinking, I better find a better way to ask this question before I get myself into trouble. So it's coming from a place of culture, and there are, you would have thought, anyone, that lives perhaps, let's put it this way, someone that's traveled, exposure, exactly, that's the word, someone that's exposed to different cultures and met with different people, you would have thought that they can curtail their own beliefs in sort of that way, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So, but what do you see from men? Are they in our communities, here? Do you think that they kind of still keep on that idea?
So I'll help you here.
Yes.
So the context that I have seen is, yes, exposure helps you, awareness should help you. We have seen men who, are very supportive, don't get me wrong, because they are more aware, they have more understanding, and they are more open to dialogue. But we have also seen men who, even they were born in this country and exposed to, beautiful ideologies, they hold it that, this is what my mother and father have been doing because it suits them, right? Because, they feel like if I do this, that is more relaxing for me. The only time they understand how to be okay with women is, when the woman is working and bringing money in. That is like, okay, we good, but you come in the house, you not cooked, yes. How do I go to work in the morning, wake up 7 o'clock go to work, leave the house 7 o'clock in the morning, get to start work at 9, stay at work until 5 o'clock. You want me to come home and cook, clean and everything? Yes, if I can do it, I will do it. But if I don't do it, understand? So these are things that, is stemming from our experience from back home, where women previously were not encouraged to work. All they did was sit down in the house, and look after children. These are gender roles. It happened in the UK as well. It's dying out. Even people enjoy it. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy doing domestic work and that. But I don't believe that it should be forced on me. Like, let's come together and support each other. But because it is seen as the norm, the norm in our cultures, in the norm in back home, it is forced. It's brought here as well. No matter how exposed you are, no matter how aware you are, you feel like it's a selfishness, I think. You feel like, this is what my mom and my dad, did when they got married, and this is what you need to do. But also, you're not thinking, that is what your mom and dad did. Maybe your dad was financially contributing. Here, you want to do the whole 50-50 thing. You also bring money.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
So I go and
go and do some work, and then exactly.
And come back. And at
so,
night,
do you think that the dynamics of relationship, let's just kind of put it at the basic level, and then making a home, do you think it's kind of, because of the 50-50 aspect that you just mentioned, do you think it's more of a collaborative effort rather than it should be one person being? We don't have that thing again about the head of the house, head of the home.
So my approach, and this is personal, my approach is, do what works for you in the house. If I am okay, or if we think it is okay, better for me to stay at home, look after the children, and you bring in money that is going to help us survive, fine. If we think that it is better for us to both go out and work and, find ways of
managing
doing
a family,
childcare, that is fine. Whatever is fine, as long as it's not forced, it's not an abusive kind of journey that is going to suppress one person over the other. Having said that, men do get abused as well. So I'm not,
but not as much as compared to women. But
mostly it happens to women. That is why I am focused on women. So we need to understand these dynamics.
What do you think a modern kind of we're talking for now, 21st century? So what do you think? Let's forget about the cultures and the taboos that involve in it. But what do you think are ideal modern couples or relationships should be like? I think relationship might just be too broad, but let's narrow it down to a couple.
I think we can say relationships, because everything we're doing here is relationship. Even you and I have certain relationships, because we are, you are interviewing me and I'm answering.
Yes.
So I think it should be based on mutual respect.
Mutual respect, okay.
It should be based on communication, and it should be based on, interest, our interest, and us fighting together against a problem instead of us fighting together.
There is a message that just comes through here. What do you say about some women promote or provoke? The abuses that they experience.
Yeah, I just mentioned that we are aware that men go through it and women provoke it. So it's totally wrong. Completely, it should not be acceptable. Nobody should be subject to violence. Nobody should be, violating other people's rights. It's absolutely madness when, people are thinking that, we are advocating for the rights of women, but we accept women being perpetrators. No matter who does it, it is not supposed to happen. But we are also going to emphasize that most of it happens towards women.
It happens towards women.
Yeah.
So, but even if it is the woman that has provoked it or basically ask it, and in some cultures women find it that it's okay to be in that kind of relationship.
Actually,
it's deemed as romantic.
Yes,
for a man to be violent towards them.
So part of what stemmed my advocacy is from a young age. In primary school, in senior school, I had a friend who said her boyfriend beat her up, and she was laughing about it. I'm like, why is that funny? Oh yeah, he beat me, that is kind of romantic. No, I find that problematic because, you should not be accepting violence. Next minute, they're going to break your arms or your legs or something, right? So these are things that irritated me from a young age. And this is, teachings that men are giving women that the more you endure violence, the better your children grow up to be. Like we have the culture in the Gambia. If you endure certain things, you're doing it for your children. Your children grow up to be responsible people. They will be blessed. They will be. No, I don't believe in that. So the more your children even see you and your wife fighting, for example, insulting each other, the more traumatized they get. But that continues to be a generational trauma that is difficult to address. So nobody should be subject to violence. Women should not be perpetrating it at all. Men shouldn't be either.
Wow. Okay. So, there's quite a lot in this that we can touch on as well. Could you perhaps elaborate on your approach to gender sensitive and trauma informed care? How do you approach that?
Okay, so when we're talking about gender sensitive, we are aware of the violations that happen to different, groups of people based on their gender. So like, for example, our support is mainly focused on women and men. So these are people who are, like we have discussed, who face these kind of issues. So the approach we take is based on how, their gender roles affect where they what they do or what people do to them, or how gender or gender role contribute to violations. Then we look into the trauma-informed care, where your lived experiences, your the violations you go through, how does that affect what you are or contribute to how you approach things. So it's like a personalized care. People who go through different things have to be treated differently. Instead of a one size fits all kind of approach. Yeah.
And these practices make difference in the work that you do with the BAME communities in Edinburgh. You are listening to Enterprise in Scotland, our weekly business program, focusing on steering conversations around ethnic minority owned organizations, businesses and initiatives here in Scotland. And if you're listening or watching this show on Facebook or YouTube, I want to ask you to get in touch, basically, if you any of the conversations that we're having here with Mariama Jobate. She's the founder of Fantanka, and of course it's a women-led organization. We're going to be talking more about the upcoming event. So if you want to get in touch, the usual way. If you're on Facebook, you can send us a DM. It's Jambo Radio Scotland Facebook page on YouTube or X, what they call that, the Twitter, what they call that X. You can also send us a DM there. It's Jambo Radio Scots. On Instagram, it's at jamboradio.scotland, and on LinkedIn, Jambo Radio Scotland. You can also do the kind of old school stuff, which is emailing. You can email info@jamboradio.co.uk. If you've not yet downloaded our Jambo Radio Scotland mobile app, it's now available on App Store, and for those of you on iPhone or iOS devices, and Google Play for Android devices, catch up with the show on our website, Facebook, and YouTube channel, Jambo Radio Scotland. So let's touch on, I think we're going to talk on the youth part of it, which is where young girls and and young women that you also empower, or that perhaps it's time to bring in Zainab Kamara. Zainab, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, yes. So youth empowerment is quite kind of an integral part of the mission of Fantaka. Could you perhaps share some kind of stories that examples that you as a youth leader in that organization? Perhaps you can share some examples with us, and what have you learned since you've been involved within the organization and in your current role as a youth leader?
I think an example could be, we had a football match a few months ago where we got to play with our pairings, which is something that maybe our parents don't really encourage for us girls to be able to play sports, because maybe they think it's dangerous. It's like, it's a thing that only boys could do.
Especially football, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really nice to be able to play with them. Conversations, we're able to have different conversations. In the process of that, that's yeah. And I think it helped us to feel more comfortable to talk about, it felt more comfortable to be able to talk with our parents with the things we would like to do in the future, involving sports or even other things that usually only boys are seen doing.
Wonderful. That's really good. I think Samson, if you permit me, we can go for news, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation. If we can go for news, I think if actually gone past the hour. I was enjoying the conversation until I forgot the time. So it's coming up to 32 minutes past 11 on Jambo Radio. It's time for the news bulletin with Andrew Bain.
On-site massage, a type of treatment that has been specifically designed to complement the convenience and availability of massage at work. It is performed with the use of a specialist mobile chair, without the use of oils or the need to remove clothing. At Massage and Glow, we believe that massage should be a part of your everyday lifestyle. Regular massage not only relieves stress and tension, but also stimulates blood circulation, can help with pain management, and promotes good mental health. A must for your busy schedule. Various holistic therapies available. Contact us now on 07530 905 152 for your mobile massage therapist.
Ushawahi tamani kuwa mtangazaji wa redio? Hakuna shida. Umewahi kuwa na show yako redioni? Hakuna shida. Unataka kuwa na tabia ya vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, ulitaka kuwa na sauti na maoni yako kusikilizwa na watazamaji? Hakuna shida. Una masuala unayodhani yanapaswa kuwa kwenye vyombo vya habari? Sawa, hakuna shida. Je, una wasiwasi kwamba hauna imani kuzungumza kwenye vyombo vya habari? Hakuna shida. Je, vyombo vya habari vinakuwakilisha maoni yako juu ya masuala yanayokuhusu binafsi? Hakuna shida. Jiunge Jambo Radio. Kwa kujitolea, utafunzwa, utaungwa mkono na nafasi ya kuwa na kipindi chako. Piga simu 0745 990 6822 ama tovuti ya www.jamboradio.co.uk.
Need security? Call Alpha One Plus Limited, a strategic security resourcing platform that connects you with licensed security personnel. We cater for our clients' security needs, from manned guarding, door supervision, event security, all the way up to close personal protection. Alpha One Plus Limited, your one-stop security solution. Call now at 44-074-2526-7909 or send us an email on info@alphaoneplus.com.
Welcome back, and of course, we apologize there that we couldn't bring you the news bulletin at the top of the at 1:30 there, and of course, we're still here in the studio, by the way, with Mariama Jobate, who is the founder of Fantaka Diaspora, and she's joined by Zainab Kamara, the youth leader of Fantaka Diaspora. So, Mariama, let me come back to you. So, in terms of example, Zainab has mentioned about playing football with the parents. Opens up opportunity for conversations, and so that's very encouraging as well. Are there other examples that you want to mention, perhaps?
Yeah, apart from the football, intergenerational football tournaments, we had the dance competition. Not the competition, it was a dance with Edinburgh Fringe, where young people were encouraged to be part of it, by their parents. So a lot of these things we take permissions from the parents, because it's a close-knit community. We speak to parents to be able to understand, what the young people will be gaining out of this, and encourage them from their own settings to do this. And also some of the programs we have in plan is to help young people understand or retain their cultural identities.
Yeah. Okay.
So we do encourage young people to, for example, do fashion in a culturally sensitive manner, where they would be wearing their parents' that they would describe as their parents' origin, or their culture based on their parents' understanding. They would be wearing clothes, their hairstyle, their makeup, a lot of things that we'll bring together to help them understand or express their cultural identities.
Yeah, that's wonderful as well. I think one of the things that I missed in this program today was to tell about our conversation. They joined the conversation, which is usually here on Saturdays morning, is back now. This morning we are looking at talking from it's coming up to 11:38 on the Jambo Radio. So if you want to participate in this conversation, either to ask Mariama any questions about the work that Fantaka is doing with women and girls, you can participate in that. And one of our also topic, if you want to take part in this second half of the program, if you want to join us to talk, give your contribution, or call the studio direct, basically, to talk about the topic on what we're discussing here with regard to women and empowerment, sexual health, and of course FGM. And if you've been affected by it, you can also give us a call direct to the studio. The number is 0141 530-2787. That is the direct number to the studio if you want to contribute, speak to Mariama or not. So we're going to be starting our segment on the show on Saturday mornings, which is to join the conversation, and the topic: should Britain pay reparation in their part for slavery? You can comment on the Facebook page, it's there, and of course you can send your Twitter response to that. You can also send us a direct message on our telephone number is 0141 530 2787. If you're if you can text, or if you want to send out a WhatsApp message, the number is 0745 990 6822. That is a WhatsApp number for you to get in touch. Should Britain pay reparation in their part for slavery? That is the question we're asking at this point in time on the second half of this program. Still in the studio, Mariama Jabate. Is that correct? I'm Poriko
Jobate.
Jobate.
You were pronouncing very correct.
Yeah, before I got so confused with so many things. Jobate. So how Fantaka Diaspora Programs addresses the complexity of cultural conflict. I think you've touched on that when asking about that, and those factors that contribute to violence. Is it just through dialogue or the things that you do, or perhaps also the intergenerational activities that you're doing are some of the drivers of that change that it's coming? Is it just? Do you find that it's just perhaps the women that are responding to this sort of approach that you're using, or when you say parents, is it the men are also engaging?
So women are more engaging. Men, we have started engaging men, but because of this whole notion about men are the perpetrators, there's nothing to fear if you mean well. Let's talk and address the issues. It's not my cause or another person's. It's a holistic thing that we have to chip in differently based on your strength. So the other things that we also do is advocacy. We also go to meetings where our voices can be heard. So when we're talking about cultural issues, you have to understand that the host community also has a huge role to play when it comes to these issues and addressing violence against women in the migrant community. How do we work with the host community to be able to understand what we go through ourselves? The host community need to understand violations in our context, not to use one size kind of fits all or just to tick boxes, because I have been finding a lot of issues around that. People just would do things because they want to tick boxes. We have approached the minority communities. We have done this with the minority communities. No, engage with us meaningfully. Engage because you want to change, not because you want funders to fund you to do programs. I have seen organizations that are led by Black people and they are advocating for a Black cause when they don't even understand the issues. Yes, they can, anybody can lead any project, but you need to understand the project. And if you are saying you are seeking funding that you are going to address Black people's problems, our cultures and stuff, put us in there. It's nothing without us. So don't go and bring other people who don't understand anything about what we're doing, and then you are reporting that you. And
in the particular case of Fantaka, is the lived experience that is there as well, isn't it? So absolutely. So what are some of the main challenges that because I think your response just now kind of linked me into that. What are the main challenges Fantaka Diaspora faces in promoting, your activities basically and creating that awareness? What are some of the challenges?
Some of the activities, challenges we face is that for some reason, ironically, people, Africans or Black people or people of African descent, they find it difficult to approach organizations that are led by people like them. For example, you would rather go to an organization who is non-Black led and talk about your issues, hoping to get help from them instead of coming to people who understand your issues properly. Now you would understand different contexts here. You understand why they would do it. Sometimes it's trust, because we have been in contexts where trust is difficult to trust people to be able to keep your information safe. People know each other. These communities are very close, and you are scared that when you tell somebody one thing, they are going to expose you. So these are all issues, but it is important that you approach people who understand what you are doing, your context, and unspoken words that they would understand and address. So the other thing is when it comes to sexual health, that when you hear the word sex, it's like, okay. I'm not going to go and talk about it.
Yeah.
But sexual health conversation is not just having conversations around sexual intercourse. It's about, every person in this world, you have to speak about, or you experience some sexual health, issues. Relationships. It starts from when you're a baby. You wearing nappies. Because you want to cover your private parts.
Yeah.
It is not exposing you. So there are different things that we include when we're talking about sexual health conversations.
Yeah.
So because of the taboo around sexual health conversations, that is a challenge.
Those are not easy conversations to be had, and I think I'm an advocate of having open conversations. Maybe it could also be in the fact that being in the media means that I of course is expected. But I also belong to associations, that are different associations, maybe school, college, university, and high school, and also sort of, community groups that are kind of those community groups of interest, and always find it really hard when such conversations, which is kind of a social environment, which you should think that that's a safe place to talk about this. The women don't want to talk, and then when you kind of really raise the topic, and for me, which sometimes I'm very impromptu or unpredictable as well, I could occasionally bring up this topic, but it's always very shut down very quickly.
Oh yeah.
So I find that really hard. It is that, and it's also death. And so those are two things that I find hard. How do you introduce that in the community? So I can see where your challenge is coming from. But that's driven by taboos. That's driven by cultural beliefs and stuff like that. Oh, don't talk about that. You can't talk about it's embarrassing. But couples and families don't talk about it enough at home.
Yes.
So what do you think is going to drive that, if even after all these years, with all the exposures, we still having this sort of conversation in our generation? We should be talking about this in the past.
We should be talking about it. Sexual health conversation is beautiful, because that is why we are here in this world. It either happens, or we have to talk about it, whether it's in private or public, for us to be here in this world. And we need to have a good health system when it, sexually, to be able to move forward in this world.
Yeah.
Right. So in families, that is my main worry. If we are not speaking to our children, we are living in a modern world where children have access to mobile phones. They are on Facebook. They are on. They're not even on Facebook now. That's an old one.
Instagram. Facebook is there. Instagram is there. They are also on TikTok.
On TikTok.
And there is also Snap, which is a very dodgy one to be in. If you, from a young person, that's a cool place to be. But for a middle-aged man like myself, it's not the coolest place to be. But I know both. But if we as parents are not in those spaces, that also become a problem.
Yes, and because we are not in those spaces, young people are communicating amongst themselves. And the research I did, or when I do research around these issues, you find young people giving each other information that are incorrect. And that gets them exposed to undesired outcomes. So we need to say to them, this is what happens, this is how you do X in an appropriate way. Yesterday in our group we were talking about menstrual health. How many girls were privy to get information from their parents before they actually started their periods. That is difficult. Yeah, but it will come. Some girls are scared when they foresee blood coming out, because somebody will say to them, "Oh, when it comes, you're going to die." But it's natural. It has to happen. Yes, it's difficult. It's coming from a private area, but let's talk about it, because you need to prepare them. Sometimes they may even have accidents in the in schools. You need to help them understand how to wear pads, how to use tampons, etc. But if you don't have that conversations, they go to people who are trusted.
Yeah.
They have boyfriends who would say to them that, oh, okay, if you have sex, it's okay. You know, you can stand up and the sperm would come out, for example, and, you know, you will not get pregnant. Before you know it, they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And it costs the nation money, you know, because it's either an unplanned pregnancy where you have to bring the child and, you know, it's a setback to your productivity.
It's a setback, yes, and it's also a setback for the young person, and it's a setback for the family. So it's a whole trickle down effect on what that why that can happen. Do you find? I say, you know, you're kind of a modern mom, isn't it? Yeah. So in that sort of way, are these easy conversations for you to have with your kids at home?
Yeah. So I said to my kids, I need to show you how to wear pads. And that was like, Mommy.
Because they want to do it themselves in their own way that they understand it.
Yeah, but they need to understand why you need to wear pads. If my son, he saw pads in the bathroom, it doesn't concern him. He thinks, he said, what is this? I said, it's a pad. You know, when your period comes and it's like, oh my God, Mommy. But you need to understand it. You grow up, you have relationships with the women, and you need to be supportive of this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's, you know. So I think, you know, we're going to touch on that event because it's coming up to 10 minutes to midday. And just a communique that is coming in. Before I read the other text messages that have been sent in with regard to the subject which I introduced the second half of this program, should Britain pay reparation in their part for slavery? You can call the studio directly on 0141 530 2787. So there is a text message on that. But the communique is from the Commonwealth Head of State. Head of Government actually meeting, which is taking place now in Apia in Samoa. Leaders have announced the selection of Honorable Shirley Ayoko Bochwe, who is currently the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in Ghana, as the incoming Secretary General of the Commonwealth. So Honorable Shirley Ayoko Bochwe, current Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in Ghana, is the incoming Secretary General of the Commonwealth. So we're going to bring you a lot of that. I think the subject for today, one of the subjects today for the second half, based on whether Britain should pay reparation in their part for slavery, is based on the fact that there's been a lot of talk at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which is taking place in Samoa this week, and it started last week actually. So it's been going on since last week, and there's some of the Commonwealth governments are asking for reparation from Britain and the United Kingdom to make reparation for their part in slavery. So before I read the text message to you, I think it's just about time that we could talk more to Zainab Kamara, who is the youth leader of Fantaka Diaspora. And Zainab, I know you talked about the positive aspect of the football tournament, the intergenerational football tournament, which took place. It gives you young people opportunity to talk about things that you perhaps will not be talking about it with your parents in the house. What inspired you to become involved in this project, Monday Voices, which is the project that's coming up on the 8th of October, next in 2 Saturdays from today?
Friday.
It's Friday. Okay, yeah. Okay, so 8th of November, you have the Monday Voices, and what inspired you to become involved in this project?
What inspired me is to be able to create a safe space for me and for other young girls like me to be able to talk to adults, our parents, even within ourselves as a group, about for example, sexual health, which are things that usually we don't talk about because we're either uncomfortable or we're scared of judgment. So that's one of the things that inspired me, which I think is a priority for us to be able to do that.
Yeah. Wonderful. That's a good. So, just tell us about the Monday Voices. What is that about? What is that about? Or because Monday Voices, I know I asked of the explanation of Monday, but what's your understanding of Monday Voices, and why is this project important now?
From my understanding, it's a cultural thing that came from Mali, which spread in other different countries in Africa, which I think is a thing that ties us to our culture so that we don't leave it behind in the next generations, like when we have kids or grandkids. So while we're moving on with the modern things, we're still tied to our culture, so we don't forget it and we can still bring it on and talk about it.
Yeah, so that's kind of incorporating your cultural relevance in the approach to sexual health education. Is that okay? That's okay. And why is that important program then for for the success of that program? Why is it important to mix culture and sexual as part of Wales promoting sexual health education?
I believe it's important so that we can still have a tie to our parents, because our parents are really cultural, they really believe in our culture, and as we grow up as young girls, we're kind of like maybe getting away from our culture, so it's really important for us to get in touch so we can understand our parents' points of view and that our parents can understand our point of view.
So what challenges do you think that participants possibly face when discussing topics like sexual health, and how do you think they can overcome that in your experience or in your thinking?
I think, as I said before, I think they fear the judgment.
They fear the judgment. But would that be the judgment from their friends, or is that?
Yeah, from our friends, from parents.
The parents.
Yeah. Anyone who they're open.
So do you think that if you, maybe your parents are open in the conversation, but do you think that maybe some of your peers, friends might have issues in the home if they raise a topic to talk about, about your health, sexual health, if they bring...
Yeah, they probably might get shut down and say like, yeah, maybe this is not the right topic, you're too young, or like you don't need to know about this stuff at this certain moment.
It's not time yet, you don't know, that kind of stuff. So how do you engage other girls in the community to participate in Monday Voices?
I talk to them privately, I text them, call them. We also hang out quite often. We go to each other's houses, so I always try to involve them. Yeah,
and what sort of feedback do you get from them? I suppose when you phone them, text them, talk to them, meet at the social spaces that you meet at, what's generally the feedback?
There's certain good feedbacks. They come. Sometimes they get busy and they're not able to come, but I think they always try their best to be able. To be
okay. And what changes do you think such activity would change, specifically on the Monday Voices program that you're launching on the 8th of November?
I think that it helped us get closer. It's definitely creating a safe space more than it was before at the beginning, probably. And
that's true. So tell us now about the location of the event. Where is that happening? Which city, which town, which area?
It's happening in the Fetlow Youth Club in Edinburgh.
Okay. What club? Sorry.
Fetlow Youth Club.
Youth Club in Edinburgh. Yeah. Okay. And what's the address for that?
It's 122 Crew Road.
122 Crew Road. Okay. I used to live in Edinburgh years and years ago. Okay, and so kind of know the area. Okay, cool. And what time is it that they're supposed to come? What time?
From 4 p.m.
From
until
4
6
p.m. And is this mainly for young people?
I'll take that.
Yeah, you take that one.
Yeah. We are encouraging young people, their parents, and health service providers to come because we want to talk about challenges that young people face and how services can be accessed better and how parents can be involved more and also how parents can be supported to have these difficult conversations.
We're coming up to time. Sorry about that. I can't read the text message about it on the question. Thank you very much, Mariama Jobate, founder of Fantaka Diaspora, and Zainab Kamara, the youth leader of Fantaka Diaspora. It's been great having a conversation with you this morning. Until next week, goodbye.